you should always try to work with one hand to basically eliminate more problems that may happen. So there's a couple things in a panel that are bad. You have your two lugs up top, you have your bars in the center, and depending on the panel, your lugs might be on the bottom side. They're not always on the top side. But when working in a panel, you should always treat everything like it's live, even in a new setting. So if you're working on a panel and you're landing your wires, always be aware of the lugs or the bars in the center when you're snapping your breakers on.
And then if you plan on doing any work in the panel, you should always just pay attention to your surroundings and make sure, especially if it's a live panel, make sure you have someone there just in case of the possibility that you will become in contact with this and become part of the circuit, just so there's someone there to help you get it off of it and call 911 so you don't get seriously injured. Because the longer you stay on, the more you'll get injured, and then it could also lead to death. But if you plan on working in the panel, you should always have grab the rubber part, and then but it also helps if you want to spend the extra money and get fully insulated tools. That also helps, and EH-rated boots helps a lot too. But if you come in the panel, you always want to grab the rubber part, never the metal. Especially if you're in here, like let's say you're going on the breaker and then somehow it gets flipped on, and then you grab this, you could potentially become part of the circuit.
So we're going to demonstrate what happens when you're not thinking and you touch something hot, what you should do. So I'm in here tightening up my lugs, and I happen to touch the metal part of my screwdriver, and I'm part of the connection now.
You'll want to push them off with either a dry piece of wood or a non-conductive material. So then, because if you just go up and grab them, you will become part of the circuit, and then it won't be good for both of you. So you always want to have like a non-conductive object or a dry piece of wood to get them off of it with. And then after that's done, should more than likely call 911, and if it's needed, administer CPR on them.
Another portion of this is being aware of boxes, whether they're in the wall or on the ceiling, pretty much boxes anywhere. If they're not capped off and
the breaker is somehow on, or somehow this deal has power, you want to be careful, because if you touch, your hop, for instance, you could get a pretty good jolt. But so whenever you go into like open anything up, you'll just want to be very careful, especially if there's no wire nuts on it. And you should always check for your breaker first, and then check circuits to make sure everything's off if you open it up and there's no wire nuts or nothing on it. So to prevent getting lit up and potentially causing serious injury to yourself.